Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between. I am yours truly, Pat Dooley, and I'm joined right on time by Rory T. Miller. Well, there we go. Hey, Rory.
How's it going, Pat? As a lot of readers will know, a wizard is never late or early. He's always right on time, and this wizard today was right on time.
Right on time. Just in time for what should be a banger of an opening contest. As we see the galaxy's greatest alien take on big-time Bex. The winner of this will go on to face either Asuka, yes, that Asuka, or Jessica Troy later on this afternoon. One fall.
And Pat, just going to let the listeners and yourself know that I do happen to have some extra special guests with me tonight, or this afternoon, rather, since we are in the afternoon. I got a 5-year-old. He might be popping in and out. Who knows? Mom is with him, so we should be okay there. And then also I've got 2 dogs with me here, and who knows what kind of commentary they may offer.
That's right. Yes, one never knows what will happen once little ones and 4-legged friends are introduced into the equation. So
they say never to work with children or animals, and here I am working with both, Pat.
That's right. That's right. Well, we have already seen Chris Statlander once in this tournament. We saw her beat Hanan back in episode 1 in a qualifying match. But we have not yet seen the number 4 overall seed, Becky Lynch. Now, you would think, being the number 4 seed, she's got to be the heavy favorite, right? Yes, but considering that the number 1 seed, the number 9 seed, the number 16, 17... 24, so many of the top seeds are already out. Becky Lynch has kind of a curse to break here in episode 5.
And as my dog Achilles drinks water from his bowl, I have to say, Becky Lynch is one of the ones to do it, but she also has some of the stiffest competition that we've seen thus far in the tournament here with Chris Statlander, who already has a victory in this tournament.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. As we did see last week, Charlotte Flair, and along with Dana Brooke, JC Jane, and Natalya, WWE has been very well represented as far as advancing into the 3rd round. So that is playing in Becky's favor here. Not playing to her favor is being thrown across the ring by her hair by the galaxy's greatest alien, Chris Statlander.
That certainly never helps you win a match. And also a vicious full Nelson slam right off the bat here. Statlander not letting up on the much more decorated Becky Lynch.
Indeed. Yes. Statlander has a 6-year pro, 27 years old, only 9 years younger than Becky, but Becky's got 20 years as a pro. Started when she was 16 in Ireland, of course, trained by, among others, Finn Balor, Paul Tracy, then, of course, at the WWE Performance Center by Sarah Amato. She has had a very, whereas Chris Statlander, a graduate of the Creator Wrestler School, trained by Pat Buck. So these two definitely have great pedigrees as in training, but Becky has certainly, former WrestleMania main eventer, has certainly surpassed Statlander in terms of career accomplishments.
Yeah, she has seen perhaps the pinnacle of any pro wrestling career with that WrestleMania main event and multi-time world champion here at WWE. And Statlander is still on the rise, and right now with a gorgeous stalling suplex, even going with a one hand.
Yeah, Statlander's strength is it's disappointing that she has sort of got going for the pin after that suplex. 1, 2, only a 2 count there, says the referee. Statlander disagrees. But it's unfortunate that Statlander's got a bit of a reputation as being injury prone, as she has missed a lot of time over the last few years with various ailments. But when she is on her game, there are very few women in wrestling that can match her power.
Very true, and also a very big proponent of intergender wrestling in the indie scene. I've seen quite a few very fantastic matches between Statlander and the likes of Orange Cassidy and I think Wheeler Yuta even. So she stepped in the ring with the best of both worlds here. If you want to get all Hannah Montana about it,
and who wouldn't really?
Yeah, truly. I think we all agree that we can do that. Becky with a drop kick and sends Statlander to the outside. This is Becky's chance to take advantage, and she decides to
not.
Wow.
Becky came in like a wrecking ball, but she's definitely taking time to buy herself flowers on the floor here. Not in any rush. Oh, nice fisherwoman suplex on the floor there.
Obviously can't go for the count there after the Fisherman Buster. Got to keep on her here, and she's doing so, just keeping it on the outside. Whereas we all know, all moves hurt worse when you're on the outside of the ring.
Indeed. Well, especially with that LED screen right there, that hurts if you get sent into it.
Absolutely.
Not sure whether that hurts more or less than the barricade, but yeah, that camel clutch definitely hurts more there than it does in the ring because, as we know, floor hurts.
Yeah, less padding? Question mark?
I suppose, yeah. I guess it's probably roughly the same amount of padding. It's just padding on top of concrete instead of wood and metal.
Yeah, with a little bit of give with the spring in the middle. Becky going in there to break up the count, although perhaps she doesn't know that Pro Wrestling Simulated works on a 20 count for the outside.
Perhaps not. It's possible that Becky has so overlooked the competition in this tournament that she has not watched the previous 4 episodes of the show and didn't know we were using the 20 count.
I mean, I do believe that she has a good argument to say as someone who is not only putting on main event matches week in and week out for the largest wrestling organization in the world, but she's also filling commercials for Applebee's with her husband, and making public appearances everywhere. She probably didn't have time to study too much on her competition, and that could cost her here in this tournament.
She also, according to WWE on Twitter, is going to be at a Super Bowl party with her husband Seth Rollins, Bianca Belair, and the Street Profits. They put out a poll of which Super Bowl party would you? It's like the which table do you want to sit at? But it was which Super Bowl party do you want to attend? And that was one of the options.
I mean,
that was my choice. Because
that sounds like a good choice.
Imagine anything more fun than partying with the Street Profits. Although I will admit, Judgment Day, their party, including both Rhea Ripley and Nikki Cross, sounds like a party that would absolutely get out of control.
Yeah, the nice thing there is someone's going to start a fight, and it definitely won't be me, but boy, will I enjoy it all the same.
Indeed. Yes, absolutely. Let me see if I can find the tweet here. So Judgment Day was obviously the 4 members of Judgment Day plus Nikki Cross. Bianca Belair's party was Bianca, the Street Profits, Becky, and Seth Rollins. Cody Rhodes has himself, Edge, Beth Phoenix, Bobby Lashley, and Asuka. Got the disarmer here. Becky trying to rip Chris Statlander's arm out of its socket. And
that's it.
Doesn't, but the referee calls for the bell. Becky Lynch is your winner.
A very hard-fought match there.
Number 4 overall. It will disarm her. I don't think that came as a surprise to anybody other than people who have been watching the tournament up to this point and have seen the woes of the seeds. But big win for Becky. 2.5-star match. Not a bad way to start off the evening or afternoon, I suppose. I guess it's evening UK.
It's evening somewhere.
In Ireland, for example. That's right. So Becky will be facing either Asuka or Jessica Troy later on this evening. Let's go to the 2 of us here while we get the next match set up. Rory, how you doing on this fine Sunday afternoon? You going to be watching the game here in a couple hours?
Well, Pat, I got to tell you, I'm going to be ordering pizza. I got some wings. I got some drinks. I got some alcohol. But that's also just a normal Sunday night. I will not be watching the game. It is sports is not something that I tend to take time out of my day to watch on TV. I have very recently started watching The Last of Us, so of course that is a bit more high on my priority list.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. Episode 1 is, I mean, that's the only one I've seen so far, and it was like feature length, so
yes,
it very much was the first, let's call it 20 minutes, is some of the best written tension and thrilling terror, especially in the zombie genre, that I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate how just how they're managing to make a zombie thing feel fresh, which is difficult in this world because we have so many of them. And The Walking Dead already accomplished this feat, over a decade ago, almost 2 decades ago now.
Almost 2, yeah. It was probably 2007 or 8 probably when it started.
So looking at least around 15 years where The Walking Dead really changed the game in terms of what you could do with post-apocalypse and zombies. And Last of Us says, nah, we can do it better. And I think they're already off to a good start. But all that to say, go team, and hope that everyone has a wonderful time watching the big game. And I refuse to say the phrase on camera just for in case the NFL lawyers happen to swoop in out of the sky.
Yes.
But I'm sure it'll be a wonderful time for those that are excited about it. I have been invited to parties in the past, and I'll go for the party. We'll hang out, we'll watch the commercials, and we'll eat and have some good snacks. But yeah, it's not for me. And tonight is going to be just a nice night in. And honestly, we'll probably end up watching one of the Oscar movies.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have you decided which one yet?
Banshees of Inisherin I haven't seen yet, and it's on HBO Max, so it's nice and simple to access.
Yeah. If you're already watching Last of Us, just flip over.
Exactly. Yeah, it's right there. Yeah. And I need to. I still really want to see Triangle of Sadness. That's my next one. But that is not available on stream just yet, so I have to make it out to local theater for that one.
I am very far behind on my Oscar movies this year. I have seen a handful of them, but Banshees of Inisherin is very high on my list. Not least of which is because the last time Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell made a movie together, they made In Bruges, which is one of my favorite movies that nobody's heard of from the last 15 years.
Yeah, it's it's a ride.
It is a wonderful, strange as hell movie. But the two of them are so good. Back when I used to teach the firearm safety class for gangsters and bandits on the Great Movie Ride, I badly wanted to use the clip from In Bruges where Colin Farrell gets shot with a blank to show how dangerous even blanks can be. But I could not get anyone in management to sign off on that because Disney does not own that movie.
Yeah,
they might now. I don't remember who produced that initially.
Yeah, there's no telling at this point as much as they've gobbled up there. I mean, It's a good thing that Disney has Marvel because they really are Galactus. They just keep rolling through and gobbling up planets.
Absolutely. Right now, my top 3 that I want to see but haven't yet: Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere All at Once, which looks exactly like my jam. I haven't seen it yet. And the remake of All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yeah, and All Quiet is on Netflix. This is another good one to look at. And also, really, I hope gives. Oh man, I'm gonna get his name wrong. Is it Daniel Bruhl?
I think that's right.
Yeah, everyone will know him as Zemo from the MCU. Hopefully this will give him his flowers because this is it's a starring role for him, and if I'm not mistaken, the entire film is in native language.
It is in German.
Yeah, and so he just proves once again how stellar of a performer he is in any language, and he can speak about 4 of them, and it's quite remarkable. So yeah, that's another one. It's also easily accessible as well, which is nice being on Netflix.
Absolutely.
Thanks to the streaming services for giving us art as well as trash.
Yes,
we need them both.
For every whatever Strong 100 or whatever that reality show about muscular people is, they're also giving us prestige German pictures in streaming form. And you know what? I gotta say, very disappointed. My favorite movie from last year, snubbed in I believe every category except Best Original Song. RRR was the most fun movie I saw all of last year.
I've heard about it, but I haven't seen it myself.
It is absolutely bonkers. It is a musical action period piece comedy, romantic. It's a Bollywood movie. It is. It's basically like if you gave Bollywood an MCU budget, what could they do? And there is one sequence in particular that involves well, I won't spoil it, but a raid on an Imperial British palace that involves caged animals that gets insane. But
Sounds about right. Well, yeah. Just saying Bollywood movie with an MCU budget is kind of sells it right there. You know,
Yes.
that's your elevator pitch, and I'm in.
I 100%. RRR is my favorite movie from 2022 of the ones I've seen. I still haven't seen, like I said, I haven't seen a handful.
Everything Everywhere All at Once is absolutely a must see. It's, as someone who also hasn't seen all the Best Picture nominees, it's still my front runner for everything. It's absolutely incredible and an amazing story, and does the multiverse better than Marvel ever could.
Nice.
So
it also has the most nominations of everything, so that has worked well in the past.
Yeah,
for movies. So hopefully that happens there, because I really want Michelle Yeoh to win an Oscar. The fact that she doesn't have one yet is kind of a travesty.
That's very true.
I don't have a good segue, but I guess aside from Kick-Ass Females, we've got 2 more in this next match.
That's as good as I think you could hope for.
Yeah. Well, we have got up next. Unfortunately, as I have mentioned in previous episodes, I am not a good creator in video games. So my apologies to Taryn from accounting that this is the best I was able to do, because I couldn't find you on community creations for 2K22. So this is my best work, which is, not my best work. This Dr. Britt Baker DMD, though, is fantastic. Britt, of course, the number 13 seed going in against number 116, Taryn from accounting.
I will say that is a fantastic Britt Baker.
It is, yeah, it's very good. I should be making better notes about who is creating the ones I'm downloading, so I can shout them out on the show. I just forget to.
Oh, very true. Yeah. Thank you to the wonderful community of creators who offer these templates and these palettes.
Absolutely. So we are live from the LBC for the second match here, as Taryn from accounting. One fall.
Making her way to the ring from New York.
Oops. I forgot to update that. She is actually from Edson, Alberta, Canada. Trained by Sexy Samantha, a 4-year pro. We saw her back in episode 1 beat AAA's La Hiedra in a 1.5-star match with a single arm DDT. Independents have done pretty well in the tournament so far, as my Excel uploads very slowly. There we go. They've had 14 wins in the tournament so far, which ties them with WWE, but they've also had 13 losses. But that's to be expected.
When it's a numbers game, that's kind of how it comes out.
Yeah, absolutely. When you've had the most matches, you're probably going to have the most losses.
Well, and Taryn's Twitter bio says one thing only, and that is, when I step into the ring, 2 things are certain: death and taxes.
Yes.
And it seems that, and I'm sure she's hoping for the same tonight.
On the other side of the equation, of course, the first woman signed by AEW upon their founding, Dr. Brittany Baker, that is, DMD. She is one of 13 wrestlers remaining in the tournament representing AEW now that Chris Statlander has been eliminated. AEW has struggled in this tournament so far, going 7-7. They started off with 20, and here we are in episode 5, and they're already down to 13. So Britt hoping to snap what has not been a great run for AEW. They do have a couple that have advanced to the round of 32. Layla Gray and Jamie Hayter have both advanced, but aside from that, mostly struggles for All Elite Wrestling.
Well, if history is any indicator, then Britt Baker is going to do quite nicely in this tournament. Remember, she already has one tournament win in AEW as the inaugural Women's Owen Hart Memorial winner.
She's
cover immediately
for the cheap pin with her feet on the ropes. We have noticed over the last couple of weeks that referees not paying a lot of attention to the ropes. We did see Io Sky get eliminated in the qualifying round, despite despite holding on to the bottom rope as she was being pinned. Referee complete. Oh, Panama Sunrise here from Britt Baker.
Starting strong.
Seconds into the match. But of course, classic Britt has to show off before going for the pin, and then just stomps on Taryn's knee.
And this hubris of the more experienced Britt Baker could come back to cost her. But right now, she's still throwing so many strikes, taking Taryn from counting down.
Big Northern Lariat there to the Northern Star. Britt Baker, I recently learned, not actually from Pittsburgh. She was born in Punxsutawney. So, her hometown in the news a week and a half ago. As we all know, we now have 6 more weeks of winter, which I don't think comes as a surprise to anybody. I did also learn from her cage match profile. I knew that she had been trained by Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano. I did not realize she had also been trained by someone called Super Hentai, which I'm just going to leave that there.
That's probably for the best.
Firing off with chops. Oh, but Taryn ducks out. And a scoop and a backbreaker from Taryn from accounting. That's what you get for not getting your paperwork in on time. That reminds me, I need to email my accountant as we approach tax season here.
It is tax season here in the United States for sure. And there's never too early to file, as I'm sure Taryn from accounting would like you to know.
Absolutely.
Right now, Taryn from accounting is crunching Britt like a Excel spreadsheet full of numbers. Cover here. Kick out at 1.
There's not a lot of information about Taryn from accounting out there. Like I said, she's only a 4-year pro. Doesn't have a lot of experience with on big stages, so there's not a lot of stuff written about her out there. There's a few matches on YouTube, and I watched a couple. She's very good. But it makes me wonder if any of her moves have themed names, like if she does a rocket launcher, is it the rocket book or
sure
now
you're gonna just have me thinking about this all day, Pat.
I mean, that's just that's the creative minds at work. That's we would spend hours having these small package driver. Variation on the old God's last gift. 2, 3. Taryn from accounting.
Wow.
Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, with the small package driver.
And the AEW curse rolls on.
Absolutely. 7 and 8 for AEW through 4 episodes and 2 matches. Britt Baker falls to a small package driver, which was very well executed. But 2 stars, and Taryn moves on. She will face the winner between Serena Deeb and one of our new favorite wrestlers, Billy Starks.
Yes. Close personal friend, Billy Starks.
Yes, absolutely. We had the pleasure of meeting her at GCW show. Was that earlier this month or late last month? Time has no meaning anymore.
Yeah, late in January, I believe. That's
what I was thinking as well.
Wasn't that long ago either way. Pat, I'm getting a bit of a latency on my end. From me or from?
I'm
hearing myself back.
Okay. Let's see. Make sure my headphones.
That could also be me too, so I can fiddle around with that as well.
I'm only hearing you and myself once, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. I can play with the volume settings on my end as well, because what I'm using to monitor isn't necessarily the direct feed.
Sure.
So let me try turning Chrome down a little bit.
While we have this time, and this just could be a good opportunity for me. Right now I'm good. This could be a good opportunity for me just to talk for a bit, but I will say I do have to disagree a little bit with the scoring for that last match, with the WWE 2K22 saying that there was no memorable moments in that match, giving the memorable moments score as 0, when in fact I do think a small package driver to Britt Baker DMD for the 1, 2, 3 counts as a pretty significant memorable moment.
It's certainly memorable to me.
If Taryn from accounting did pick up a win like that on Britt Baker, we would be talking about it the next day for sure. we'd have another Action Andretti on our hands.
That's right. This is I'm trying to think of, has there ever been an Action Andretti, a 1-2-3 Kid, a Santino Marella type moment like that in the women's division of any major promotion?
Nothing immediately springs to mind.
No.
You can make the argument that any woman that ever beat China, it would have, especially for her in her first loss, that would have meant something. But
right,
they definitely didn't play it up or use it to their advantage in the way that I think they could, where in terms of making a memorable moment like that. So nothing immediately comes out. I think you could. The closest maybe you could say is Nikki Cross or Nikki ASH at the time, cashing in her Money in the Bank briefcase on Charlotte Flair and picking up a victory there. Because Charlotte Flair, one of the most dominant and protected wrestlers in all of wrestling, regardless of gender.
It's true.
And for Nikki ASH to pick up, granted, it was a surprise win. It's a Money in the Bank cash in, and she didn't keep it very long. But that may be the closest thing that I can think of.
It might be. And hey, speaking of Nikki, I don't know if you did that on purpose, but she is in our next match as she prepares to take on World Wonder Ring Stardom's Utami Hayashishida, whose name I had to manually edit because, as you can imagine, the rules of the community creations do not allow you to upload wrestlers with names that include SHIT in sequence. So she was in there as Utami Hayashit ******A. So I had to go in and manually edit that. But here comes one of my... I wish she still had her Sanity entrance theme. But man, do I love me some Nikki Cross.
Nikki Cross, one of the most just rambunctious superstars that you'll ever see.
Yeah.
I still think she's also
the sprint.
There's the sprint. If the women's division ever offered a true blue hardcore division, I think she would be one of the cornerstones of that division.
Certainly.
I know WWE shies away very heavily from a regular occurrence of hardcore matches at this stage of their career for good reason. But Nikki Cross would absolutely be at the top of that list in terms of just people you'd want to see week in, week out, just slinging people through tables and diving onto thumbtacks and stuff. I mean, I think she would do it is the thing. So
absolutely,
that would be incredible. Between her and Liv Morgan, I think right there you have a recipe for a hardcore, for a legendary hardcore rivalry.
Absolutely. And honestly, although we've never really seen her go that route, I feel like Shayna Baszler would excel in that environment.
It feels like a Steve Blackman type where you wouldn't necessarily see it on paper, but then in execution, it works wonderfully. I believe that
she would find ways to use her environment to make her submissions more brutal.
From Kyoto, Japan, Utami.
Utami Hayashishida coming to the ring. Not bad on the edit there for recreating her name.
Yeah, one of only a Utami.
Yeah, one of only 10 Stardom wrestlers remaining. Talked about AEW struggles earlier. Stardom has had 11 matches in the tournament thus far, has only won 3. So the ace of Stardom, Big Daddy's third daughter, Utami Hayashishida, hoping to come away with a rare win for the promotion. So far, of the 8 third-round berths that have been clinched, none of them by Stardom. So Utami Hayashishida hoping to fix that with a win here. Of course, the winner of this will face the winner between Jeddah and Asuka, not that Asuka, later on this evening. You'll see what we mean. There are 2 Asukas in wrestling, one in the States, one in Japan. They are both in action tonight or today.
And Pat, not to be that guy, but I do kind of feel like it would be more convenient if at least one of them lost.
It would be very convenient, especially considering they would not face each other if they both won today. They would eventually down the road because all these matches are in the same part of the bracket. But we would have to continue to have that same Asuka conversation going forward. But also, heaven forbid, they did meet and we would have to just call them Asuka and Asuka. Of course, I believe at that point we would just call the other Asuka Vanny, as that's the name she uses when she works in the States, because there is, of course, already an Asuka here.
In the
Big
States.
power bomb by Hayashishida to start things off.
Hayashishida already using her height advantage here in this match.
Yep, at 5'5", not taller than most wrestlers, but she's certainly taller than the 5'1" Nikki Cross. Nikki, actually, neither of these women hold a title currently, but as we've discussed in the past, Nikki was the last so far WWE 24/7 champion, as she threw the title adjacent to the trash can as she was walking away with it in a sort of fugue state. Tommy with a big double axe handle off the top rope.
That is just a classic old school move. And here we got a pinfall. One, two.
Oh, I thought she was going with the Jimmy King from Ready to Rumble, crowning her finish. But no such luck against the Twisted Sister, Nikki Cross.
And we do have a rope break here.
That time.
It happens occasionally, Pat.
Occasionally. It also happened in one of our tag matches on Tuesday night or Thursday, whatever it was that I did the last episode of the 100. That one of the wrestlers was pinned while holding the bottom rope. Referee didn't notice it, so it is certainly a thing in 2K that the referee doesn't always notice. Oh, nice submission hold here from Nikki.
Yeah, like a modified Cobra clutch, in fact.
Yeah, it's like a Cobra camel clutch.
Like crossface Cobra crossface.
Yeah. Oh, and Hayashishida tosses her out onto the apron. Uh-oh.
We're going to 10 beats of the Baldwin here.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The game lagging a little bit there. I don't know if it's because it's a created wrestler or what, but it got a little jittery there.
We call that a 10 beat of the Taika or Taiko. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I'm looking to see if that is a named move in her list of trademarks, but I don't see it. So I think they just put that in there because it looks cool.
I will say the championship pedigree of Utami Hayashishida is out of this world.
Absolutely.
She has been a former World of Stardom champion, Goddesses of Stardom champion, Artist of Stardom champion, Future of Stardom champion, an SWA Undisputed World Women's champion, as well as winning the Goddesses of Stardom Tag League in 2018 and the Trios Tag Team Tournament in 2019. Another rope break there to break that.
There's the reason they call her the Ace. She was actually number 2 on the 2021 PWI list. Slid a little bit in 2021. She was number 2. Slid to number 20 in 2022, just because there were a number of women who had better years, including, of course, Syuri, who held the World of Stardom title for most of that evaluation period. But Hayashishida is basically like, oh, good Lord.
What a vertical
delayed superplex. Man. Nikki Cross has really struggled to get out of the gate in this match so far.
It has been all Utami at this one.
1, 2, 3. She wins it with the superplex.
It was a bit of a squash on that one, but honestly, for the Ace of Stardom, you can't go you can't go wrong there. Also, Pat, just a note on all of that. We just listed off a whole bunch of her accolades. Tommy Hayashishida just beat Nikki Cross to advance in this tournament and giving a little bit more of a rub to the Stardom roster. All of that at the age of 24.
So you broke up just a little bit there at the end. You said something about giving a rub to the whole Stardom roster, and then
all of this, all of this at the age of 24.
24, yes, a 4-year pro at age 24 already.
Born in September of 1998. It is outrageous.
I was starting my 98. I would have been starting my junior year of high school.
Oh, now you're making me think. I think it was in 5th grade, something like that.
Yeah,
no, it was even less than that.
So.
It was, class of 07 here in high school, at least. Yeah.
So you would have been starting 4th grade in September of 96. Man, I'm old.
I'm
Hey,
feeling
you know
it
what?
now as well. Actually, I
Only
went
as
to
old as you feel.
yeah, truly.
I feel
Went
very
to
old.
went to see Steven Sanchez last night here in our wonderful city, and went with a wife for an early Valentine's date. And in the process of being there, we both learned that Steven Sanchez is 20 years old. He already has a record deal, and he has released an album, and it's already he's one huge hit with another couple on the way. TikTok famous,
Yep.
and sold out tour. It's his first tour ever, and the sky's the limit for that guy. And I'm sitting there going, we are a couple of 30 somethings in and amongst a sea of children, is what it felt like.
Yeah.
And for a good chunk of it, there were a lot of X's written on hands, and not because they were all straight edgers.
Yep. Yep. That X by necessity will definitely make you feel old.
Shame to see Nikki Cross go out the way she did, but she was up against the ace of stardom, like we mentioned. Nikki Cross, one of those that I think is always going to have a place on a roster, no matter where she goes. Because she can be a killer, she can be a dominant force, and she can also be a good heavy in a tag team or a stable. And maybe her mic skills are not the best, but if you let her off the leash and just run wild, she will get over everywhere, and it will be
not everybody
wonderful.
needs to talk.
No, not everybody needs to talk.
And I think that's kind of one of the like biggest misnomers in the industry, is that it takes a combination of in-ring and mic skills. It does if you want to be a generational star like a Hogan or a Rock or an Austin, but Bret Hart was never the best on the mic. He was fine, but
so was Shawn Michaels in that same era.
Shawn Michaels.
He was fine.
He was fine.
He never really like broke the mold when it came to talking. And that was also in the era where you still had plenty of managers around to do the talking. I mean, during that same time, you had Jim Cornette manage Yokozuna, another guy who never needed to talk, nor did he, except to yell bonsai occasionally, and it worked. Yep. So
partially because they were pretending he was Japanese and he was Samoan.
He
ever actually spoke any Japanese, so
probably not.
Talk would have been weird.
Would have definitely thrown that off. Yeah, that was more of a Sabu situation than than anything else.
But 2-time WrestleMania main eventer without talking hardly ever.
Yeah, and it works.
Yeah. What did we decide? Was it you and me that were talking about this recently? That it was like Hogan, Savage, when we were trying to list out the main people, like in order of number of times they had main evented. Like Hogan was the first to do it more than once, then Savage, then
Yokozuna.
Then Yokozuna, right? Because
technically at WrestleMania 9, the main event was Hogan and Yokozuna.
Yep.
Technically.
Yep.
And then
10 was Hogan. It was Bret and Yoko.
Bret and Yoko.
Yeah.
So technically speaking, Yokozuna had by the end of '94 had more WrestleMania main events than Bret the Hitman Hart.
Yes.
Which is, it's obviously, it's not exactly true, right? Like we all know that Bret and Yoko were the scheduled main event for 9. It did go on, and then we had that.
The tickets were sold based on a Bret Yoko main event.
Exactly, yeah. So pretty disastrous outcome there. But in terms of the record books, it will say that Hogan had another main event at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Does that also mark the second time that he had 2 matches at Mania? I can't remember if he had 2 matches at Mania 4. I know he got disqualified.
No, because he and Andre both got first round buys and met in the quarters, and
that was a double DQ.
Double DQ.
Yeah.
So they only wrestled once that night. So Yoko, I mean, obviously DiBiase and Savage and the guys that advanced to the tournament were the first ones to have multiple matches. But as far as non-tournament matches, Yoko at 9 and then 10 was the first one to do that twice.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he Yoko pulling double duty in WrestleMania 9 and 10. The weight of the company on that guy's shoulders. No wonder he No wonder he sort of petered out there towards the end of his run. He's like, man, hey guys, I'm spent. I've done all the things I needed to do. I got you where you needed to go. I gave you a good feud with the Undertaker. I gave you a main event program, both with Hogan and with Brett. Can I just chill for a bit?
Let me just gain 135 more pounds and just stick me in a tag team with Owen for a while.
Yeah. And that
because that was the next year was an 11 when he and Owen beat the Guns for the tag titles.
Yeah, that was his surprise partner was Yokozuna.
Yep. And then by 12, I don't think he even had a match. Might have been on the pre-show. He was in like a 6-man or something.
That's possible. Yeah, I think Camp Cornette was still together, and they probably did something on the pre-show. He and Owen were still feuding with, was it Mankind and Vader? During that? No, Mankind wasn't there yet. That was later.
Yeah, 96 he was, I think it was the two of them and Vader against like
we're not just looking it up.
The Road Warriors and Ahmed.
Let's see.
Oh no, that was 13.
Okay, here it is. Bulldog, Owen, and Vader defeated Ahmed, Johnson, Jake Roberts, and Yokozuna in a 6-man.
Okay, so Yoko had turned face by then.
Yeah.
Okay.
If Yoko's team had won, he would have received 5 minutes in the ring with Cornette, and it didn't happen. No wonder we forgot about that because not much there.
Would have been a memorable moment if they'd done it.
All right, yeah, and then no, let's just let the heels win. What? I get it though. Like sometimes you have to put in a stipulation and not give it to the fans to like keep up kayfabe, right? Like, hey, sometimes it doesn't work.
Yep.
Saw that recently in an ECW match, if I'm not mistaken. Well, it was a very bizarre main event from 93 or early 94 maybe, where there was 6 different guys in a cage, and each of them had a stipulation if they won. Nice. And it was a bizarre thing though. Like it was like you needed a pen and paper to write down all the like, okay, so if this guy wins, then he gets the world title, but if this guy wins, then it's if you get pinned. That was it. So if you got pinned, you lost your world title to whoever pinned you. If you got pinned, then your manager has to be alone in the ring with the guy who pinned you for 5 minutes. If you got pinned or you got pinned because you guys are in a tag team, your tag team has to break up. Like it was a lot of chaos and a lot of things to remember that didn't really matter. Like it was definitely one of those, let's try and throw things at the wall and see what sticks, and that did not stick.
It reminds me of before the very first King of the Mountain match, Jeremy Borash introducing it with, the rules are simple, and then speaking for about 4 minutes uninterrupted about the various nonsensical rules of the King of the Mountain match.
It is certainly not a simple match.
No. You have to hang the title. It's a ladder match. You have to get the ladder, climb up, and hang the title. But in order to hang the title, you first must pin an opponent.
Pin an opponent. And then the opponent gets to spend 2 minutes in the penalty cage.
Yes. And the title isn't just like in the ring. A referee has it at ringside. So you have to pin an opponent, get the belt from the referee, then a ladder, then climb the ladder and hang the belt.
Simple.
Yes. Okay. So a match where the rules are simple is a straight up one-on-one encounter between Kiera Hogan and Shoko Nakajima, which is our next match coming up, featuring 2 of the smallest competitors in our tournament. I just did the math real quick. They are a combined 9'9". Kiera, 4'11", is the taller of the opponents. Shoko Nakajima, 4'10". The 1.47 meter big kaiju, Shoko Nakajima, one of 7 Tokyo Joshi Pro wrestlers remaining in there against Kiera Hogan, another AEW representative. We started this episode with 14. We're down to 12 as Chris Statlander and Dr. Britt Baker DMD both lost earlier in this episode.
There's a lot of pressure on Kiera Hogan to right some wrongs here for AEW.
Absolutely. The first lady of Atlanta, the girl on fire, trained by, speaking of early 90s WWE, trained by Mr. Hughes, who was a mainstay on that roster. Also, speaking of people who couldn't talk a lick.
Mr. Hughes did one thing well, and he was able to put over the sidewalk slam as his finisher. And boy, did if you didn't know anything else about Mr. Hughes, you knew that if he put on the sidewalk slam, the match was over. But other than that, yeah.
And, he was ahead of his time wrestling in sunglasses. Orange Cassidy owes a great debt to Mr. Hughes in that regard. IRS owes a great debt in wrestling in a shirt and tie.
And
Trailblazer was
a big trailblazer. Also, Mr. Hughes, his actual name, which was kind of a rare thing at the time for wrestlers to use their own name, and then that also allowed him to keep the same character no matter where he went, which was convenient because he worked in WWF, WCW, and ECW. Anyway, let's talk about Shoko Nakajima.
Shoko Nakajima, probably not a household name among American wrestling fans, though she did appear on some of the very early AEW shows. I think she worked Yuka Sakazaki on one of the very, very early shows. She, again, represents Tokyo Joshi Pro, which has gone 2-1 thus far in the tournament. Excuse me. 9-year pro, only age 31, 4'10" from Niigata, Japan. She during I would say recently, like within the last year or so, defeated Miyu Yamashita, who's another sort of like Utami Hayashishida is for Stardom. Miyu Yamashita is a massive star in Tokyo Joshi Pro. So that win for her to win the Princess of Princess Championships was a very big deal for Shoko, and a very nice tornado DDT there on Kira Hogan. Kira, of course, the former baddie, former half of Fire and Flava in Impact, along with Tasha Steelz. But now she's got Shoko Nakajima, the big kaiju, pulling back in that camel clutch variation.
Oh, big springboard there.
Springboard crossbody.
Got her with that one, though, in a very interesting position now.
One
cover.
2, referee well out of position because I don't think he expected them to land that way. Oh, building up some momentum by running in circles is Shoko Nakajima. Out onto the apron. Nope, up to the top rope now. Oh, drops the elbow across the back of Kira Hogan. That fan holding the I Heart Chaos sign, definitely getting his money's worth tonight. Elbow to the knee and a slap to the face from Hogan.
Oh, now going to the knee here.
And they keep Shoko grounded here. Now going after... Oh, she's biting her fingers right in front of the referee, who just could not care less. And now doing it again. I don't know what the referee is looking... Dude, eyes front, man.
Yeah, it's something going on in the ring, bud. You're not a spectator right now. I do feel like we've had that issue in the past at FXC, reminding our refs that, hey, you're reffing the match. You're not just watching it.
That's right. We did have to have a conversation with one of them on Friday about, hey, don't smile so much. It's weird. But, he's just having a good time in there.
Yeah,
but,
it's hard to argue, right?
It kind of, oh, nice jump over rocker dropper there by Kira Hogan. Hooks the leg. 1, 2. Nakajima kicks out. Kira can't believe it, but it is early in the match still. Also, you are the underdog. You're the number 100 seed in there against number 29. Kira Hogan has actually been on the PWI list every year since 2018, but this was Nakajima's first time on the list. Oh, nice lucha-style arm drag takedown there from Nakajima, who now goes back to the top. She's going for that elbow again. That was a big senton. Or a Dick Togo style, just flat-bodied.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, and
That'll
Shoko Nakajima picks up the win.
Not quite an upset in this
Nakajima
one.
Will now face the winner. Ooh, not quite. Actually, so far, 3 out of the 4 favorites have won. But AEW 0-3 now tonight. Not a great showing for the second biggest promotion in the States.
The AEW curse rolls on.
Yeah, very, very surprising to see that level of struggle, especially for a promotion that prides itself on its women's division to have gone 0-3 so far and just doing poorly in general. Number 29, Shoko Nakajima knocks out number 100, Kira Hogan. Another 2.5-star match. That top rope senton. And as I love it when the shows work out like this, where now the rest of the night we will know who they will be facing, and later on we got half of each part of the bracket taken care of. Wasn't really intentional. I try to set these up as the closer the seeds are to each other, the later in the show it happens, unless it's between two people from the same promotion, in which case those get priority for main events. This next match is going to feature someone who a lot of American fans are only now getting to know, sort of, as part of Emi Sakura's entourage in AEW, alongside her frequent tag team partner Balian Aki, Mei Saruga, who will be in there against the NXT Women's Champion Roxanne Perez. Winner of this will face Shoko Nakajima later on.
And Roxanne Perez, who had a stellar performance in the Royal Rumble this past January,
Yes.
made quite an impression on a lot of folks. And there always tends to be a couple NXT, let's call them guest spots, for lack of a better term. They're not official call-ups for sure. Appropriate to call in Roxanne, who was able to get the most out of her time in the ring there, and definitely a star, definitely worthy of that NXT championship.
Yeah, she is. She's definitely one to watch if you're not already. I know a lot of people in our demographic, so to speak, don't watch NXT so much anymore. But it is worth going out of your way to find Roxanne Perez matches, because she's a star in the making.
For sure.
Here comes the Apple Girl, Mei Saruga, the only wrestler in the tournament representing Gato Move Pro Wrestling, which is Emi Sakura's promotion that she runs there. She is one half of the Best Bros tag team, as I mentioned, with Bali and Aki. And she has been, if you have ever watched a Gato Move show, which I recommend because they are bonkers, and Mei Saruga is also bonkers, and a little clumsy, as you just saw there. She and Aki are very entertaining as a pair. They're sort of like Japan's New Day in a lot of ways, that they host a lot of shows and are,
makes sense.
It's very fun.
And also Mei Saruga with Bali and Aki as Best Bros. They are you've failed to mention the name of their tag team title is the Asia Dream Tag Team Championship, which is a fantastic name for any championship.
Yes. And then, as we mentioned, Roxanne Perez, the NXT Women's Champion. Tomorrow will mark 2 months since she won it from Mandy Rose. Now, I guess she's going by Amanda Sakamano, going by her shoot name on all of her socials and stuff. Though,
which is fair.
Yeah. Though her cage match profile does still say Mandy Rose, because I don't think she's wrestled since her release. Probably can't. Because
that's probably part of it.
Not being up yet.
And then also, I mean, she's made so much money. I don't think she needs to, quite honestly. But
yeah.
Either way, Roxanne Perez now in this very sporting purple plaid. This is fun.
Yes.
Already getting under the pin there of Mei Saruga.
Yep.
But kick out of one.
Yep.
Too early.
Roxanne Perez, the gear, I don't know if it's intentionally so or if it is just the inspiration. She has said in interviews that she got into wrestling because of AJ Lee. So it's not surprising that her gear would have nods to Miss Lee. What is Mei Saruga doing?
For sure.
Going for a
and
good Lord, twisting cross body to the floor under Roxy. And then a double stomp to the chest.
Oh, nice dragon screw to come back out of it though. I feel like the competitors were listening to me last time I was here, and there's been a lot more action outside the ring and on the floor here in these matches, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't know if you caught the episode of the 100, the tag team show from earlier this week, where one of the wrestlers almost got counted out because he was too busy going after the opponent's manager.
That's right.
That was it was during the MSP House of Torture match. I think it might have been Aiden Agro was very distracted by Evil and just chased him around the ring, nearly getting himself counted out.
And I feel like fans and
good Lord, crash and burn there for Roxanne.
Yeah, and Mei Suruga pulling out a page from the Samoa Joe playbook, just
Yes.
walking away.
Yep. Now just wrenching back on that arm. Suruga in pretty firm control through this one so far.
Yeah, I think Roxanne might still be shaking in her chucks after seeing the announcement that she'll be included in the NXT package for the WWE 2K23 release coming out later this year.
Very nice indeed. That's I'm very happy that she is one, that she is finding fame in WWE, but also that WWE seems to know what they have with her, because that was definitely a concern of mine when she signed, was having seen her in the Ring of Honor women's title tournament and that great match that she had with Miranda Alizé in the finals. When I heard she got signed, I was like, oh, but she doesn't look like a diva. Like, that's
right.
And this was right after they had started signing, Nikita Lyons, and Mandy Rose was getting a big push, and JC Jane and Gigi Dolan and Cora Jade and all of those. And I mean, Roxanne Perez is beautiful, but she doesn't fit the mold of what it looked like they were going for at that point.
Ooh.
Oh, referee does see Roxanne grab the bottom rope.
Yeah, hard to miss that blatant rope break right in front of your face there.
I've been very excited to see her have some great success in NXT
for sure. And you mentioned AJ Lee. I think that's quite exactly what she's rolling with in terms of her place on the roster. I mean, she is someone who doesn't fit the mold of everybody else that she's in the ring with, and that works to her advantage.
Nice combination of knees there by Roxanne.
Going for the cover. Smart move. Smart strategy.
1, 2. Oh, but Mei Suruga able to kick out.
This has been a very back and forth contest, and Perez needs to stay on her opponent instead of gawking at or yakking with the referee there.
Oh, went for a kick to the midsection, possibly getting ready to finish her off with one of her finishes, but because she does have one built up. Oh, good Lord.
Wow.
Nice submission there by Suruga.
Got the shoulders.
And
that's going to do it.
Taps out. Mei Suruga wins it. And sort of rare loss for WWE as Roxanne Perez goes down. That will set up Mei Suruga against Shoko Nakajima later on this afternoon.
But if my math checks out here, Pat, that with Mei Suruga's victory, that does mean that Gato Move Pro Wrestling has a perfect streak going right now.
That is indeed true. They are one of 4 promotions that is undefeated currently, alongside Marvelous, West Side Extreme Wrestling, and Impact. Impact, the only promotion that is 2-0 currently in the tournament.
Oh, good for Impact. In fact, hard to tell, but I'm repping my Impact.
Oh, indeed, you are.
Shirt this afternoon in solidarity, I suppose. But good on Impact there. To finish up our thoughts on Roxanne Perez, definitely a huge future lined up for her, and the sky's the limit. And I know that things still seem to keep shuffling around in NXT a little bit, so it's hard to really kind of know which way the wind is blowing from time to time, and that may not really change depending on how this sale plays out. So We'll have to see, but at least the talent in the ring are capable, know what they're doing, and put on good matches. I mean,
yes.
At the end of the day, like, you need good creative, but also if you can still just put on a good match, most people will at least forgive a bit of silly creative. If Impact is a wonderful example of that, I think
absolutely.
I think Impact is probably the prime example of a company that is able to stay afloat because they always put on some good wrestling between the ropes, regardless of how the creative plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. This, I mean, we joked about the King of the Mountain match earlier, but not a lot of promotions would have been able to bounce back from some of that nonsense. The reverse battle royal, the what was that? Not the monsters, but what was the one with the elevated casket that Abyss was in?
Was it? You're talking about Raven's match, are you?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
what was?
Man. Of course I'm blanking. I was gonna say Monsters Ball, but that's not it. The Monsters Ball also a bit ludicrous when you consider that the competitors apparently have to stay inside a dark chamber for 24 hours before the match begins, which is a bit ludicrous. But
illegal.
Raven's like Cavern of Nightmares or something.
Yeah, it was something like that. The because I was talking about like Welcome to the Terror Dome, but it wasn't the Terror Dome. It was the Clockwork Orange House of Fun. Is that what it was?
That sounds about right. Yeah, Clockwork Orange House of Fun match, which definitely sounds like something Raven had been sitting on for years and never got anybody else to greenlight.
Right.
Finally, he moves to Impact or TNA at the time, and they're so thrilled to have a yet another WWE guy on their roster. And so they're like, yeah, anything you want, Mr. Raven. Yes, sir.
Whatever you say.
Yeah.
You got it. You got it.
We've always thought that every idea you've ever had was great. So we'll do it.
Yeah, that sounds like Impact.
Yeah.
Not as much anymore. But
no, but I think they're owning a lot of their silliness. Because I attended Slammiversary last year, which was, the last time I got to see the Briscoes, or Jay Briscoe specifically live. They've wrestled the Good Brothers for the Impact Tag titles there, but a lot of their goofy matches were on the card that night. Mm-hmm. There was a Queen of the Mountain match, which was the first time they've ever done that for the Knockouts division. There was a reverse battle royal. And
they brought back a bunch of their silly gimmick wrestlers for that too.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. PCO was in that, and I know that Shark Boy was one of the Shark Boy might have won it. I can't quite remember.
He might have.
He was definitely at the end of it. I know that we were all really stoked to see that he made it that far. So they're taking ownership of their silly things. And now that I mentioned it, I even saw Moose and Sami Callihan in their Monsters Ball match at Victory Road, if I'm not mistaken, of last year. So they're able to really, pardon the expression here, they're really able to shine up that turd, I think. Can I say that? That's allowed, right?
Yeah,
I don't think that's a bad one. Yeah. I think they're really good at polishing turds is what I think Impact does when it comes to creative. They and again, the talent they have there is out of this world. I think Speedball Mike Bailey is incredible. I think basically every knockout in the division offers something to the table that, like, Deonna Purrazzo and Jordan Grace, I'm amazed haven't been snatched up by the bigger companies yet. I'm sure they're waiting for their contracts to run out or something, because the two of them especially are just absolutely
so marketable.
Yeah, so marketable, so great in ring. Josh Alexander as well. The walk-in weapon. Like, will he be a world champion in WWE? Probably not, but he could easily be, a great mid-card champion that could really, move merch and get kids excited. He's got that Kurt Angle intensity about him, and he knows how to work a good match.
That's exactly the comp I would have used too. Is he doesn't have the mic skills of a Kurt Angle. He's never going to be a main eventer on the level of a Kurt Angle, but as basically like the babyface version of Chad Gable. Josh Alexander is excellent at that.
Yeah, well, and
between the ropes, he's one of the best there is.
And I think Chad Gable is slowly becoming the babyface version of Chad Gable right now, which is pretty exciting.
True.
So, but you're right though. Josh Alexander fits that mold wonderfully. And honestly, he could be the vicious heel version of a Chad Gable. The name's right there. Walking weapon. It's all built in.
Comes in and usurps his spot as leader of the Alpha Academy.
And what more alpha move is there?
That's right. Imagine him and Otis as a team.
Oh, man, that sounds great. I'm in. Get Otis away from the MMMs. Let's get him back to
Yes.
Let's get him paired up with Josh Alexander. Stat. I like it. But yeah, that's what I'm saying about Impact though. Impact has so many incredible talent that definitely can you can build an entire company around, but also you can always trust to put on good matches. And it's amazing that you can just watch them on Access. They're there.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's right there. And their pay-per-views are not expensive. I mean, and their tickets for live events are definitely not expensive. So, I mean, it's well worth a night out for anybody that has the means and the time. So also, you know, once again, like you said, Impact is still 2-0 in this tournament. So
they are.
The Knockouts division continue to knock it out.
A promotion that is not 2-0 so far is Seedling out of Japan, which is 0-1 so far. Asuka is hoping to fix that. Of course, Asuka also known as Veni when she works in the States, because, again, there is already an Asuka here. So we've got one of the kind of rising stars in Japan going one-on-one with one of the best wrestlers in British women's wrestling. In fact, one of her nicknames is the British Legend, 20-year pro Jetta. Getting ready to go one-on-one here. Of course, the winner of this will be facing Utami Hayashishida later on in this episode. Oh, we're at the Horizon in Rosemont, Illinois now. And here comes
home
Asuka to Veni.
Home to WrestleMania 13, I believe.
That sounds right. Actually, I think it might have also been one of the 3 venues for WrestleMania 2.
Yeah, that also feels accurate.
So here comes Asuka. She is the current Sendai Girls Pro Wrestling World Champion, a title she won in December. She is also the one half of the Seedling Beyond the Sea Tag Team Champions, teaming with Makoto. And actually, that team is also in the 100, so we will be seeing them in our tag team tournament later on as well. 5'9", 147 pounds, trained by the legendary Ayako Hamada. So Asuka definitely got a championship pedigree and got to wear one of her belts to the ring tonight.
Always good to show up with your championship to a match, even if you're not defending that title. Definitely puts the onus on your opponent to step their game up to beat you. And in the case of Roxanne Perez, it can sometimes put a massive target on your back.
Yes, indeed, as we learned earlier. Veni, 24 years old, 4 years older than Jetta's wrestling career. Jetta was 15 when she debuted back in 2003. As mentioned, you know, the British legend, the Princess Diana of British wrestling, Coventry's loudest, one of 3 representatives of Pro Wrestling Eve remaining in the tournament. Eve has actually gone 0-2 so far since this tournament started. So Jetta hoping to break that streak, while Asuka is hoping to do the same with Seedling. So one of these 2 women, unless we have a double count out or something, will be the first winner for her promotion. And also, Jetta is the current Wrestle Carnival Queen of the Carnival champion, a title she won back in July.
I'm a fan of wacky titles in pro wrestling. It's very much like silly mascots in minor league baseball.
Yes.
Give me more silly title names and give me all the championships.
Give me those Toledo Mud Hens. Give me those Savannah Bananas. Give me the DDT Iron Man Heavy Metal Weight Championship. That is still my favorite title in wrestling.
Oh yeah, it definitely has, and it has one of the most prestigious lineages in all of pro wrestling.
Absolutely. It has been won on more than one occasion. I believe 3 occasions by books.
It
was also won by
2 occasions by a ladder.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, 2 occasions, or by ladder, not a ladder, but ladder.
By ladder, yes.
And they did confirm that it was the same one
at one point.
Yeah, yep. DDT won itself, and then every fan of DDT Pro Wrestling won it at one point.
Yep, the 150,000 followers on Facebook all won it at the same time when an iPad containing a list of all of the fans fell on top of the current champion and pinned them for a 3 count.
Wrestling is
numerous
a beautiful art form.
actors and musicians. I watched a DDT show where I can't remember her name, but a Japanese pop idol won the title by submission when she shook the hand of the winner of the title match so hard that he submitted, and she became the champion. Nice springboard moonsault there by Asuka.
Yeah, this has
Going
been
straight for the pin.
another pin here.
1, 2. Oh, no, only 1.
And the ref had to check the shoulders, make sure they were down. This has been a good back and forth match here.
Asuka fell behind a little early, but she seems to be in pretty firm control currently. Except she just took a little too much time, and now Jeddah is going to punish her with that fisherman suplex. That's one of her trademarks. 1, 2, 3, and that did it. Just like that.
All it takes is one.
That's right. And now we know, ooh, man, Jeddah against Hayashishida is going to be a heck of a match.
That will be killer.
And I'm fairly certain the math is going to line up to make that our main event, but I will figure that out for sure during our intermission. But now we don't have to worry about the Asuka confusion going forward, because the Asukas are now 0-1. Hopefully Asuka will be able to bounce back from that.
We'll have to see.
Her match against Jessica Troy.
Not a lot of defensive prowess in this
Right.
match.
So
Still a score of 0 on that one.
No, it was a very, very offensive-minded contest. We haven't really had any marathons yet. We also haven't had a match score higher than 2.5 stars. Oh, and 2K just crashed, so we'll give me just a moment. That never happens with 2K.
Yeah,
certainly not multiple times on me yesterday while I was trying to get all this set up.
Well, instead of having dead air, I think, let's see. We've seen... Is there any promotion we haven't seen compete just yet? Or be represented, I guess, as far as the majors are concerned? I mean, we've seen WWE,
No,
we've seen AEW.
let me see.
Yeah, we've seen, I mean, I guess Kira
probably-
Hogan is a former knockout, so that sort of counts for Impact.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I mean, as far as today goes, Impact is probably the biggest one we haven't seen. We haven't seen either of the major Lucha promotions.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But as far as the NWA, we didn't see anybody from today. But we haven't seen anybody, period, from GCW, MLW, Ice Ribbon, or the Oz Academy, who do. Those are 4 promotions that do have wrestlers in the tournament. We just haven't seen any of them yet.
Do you know how many NWA wrestlers do we have?
Let's see. They are 0-2 so far, but I believe they still have 3 left. Let me see. I do have that somewhere. Bear with me. The NWA does have 3 left. Allison Kay, Marty Bell, and our friend Camille, who I would love to have, if she is up for it, come on and commentate her own match when that happens.
That'd be a lot of fun.
When is that scheduled for? Where are you, Camille? That'll be in 2 weeks. On episode 8, she will take on Rachel Rose.
That would be a lot of fun to have her on to give her insight into her own match, which would be wild. And then also just a lot of fun stories. And also, I'd like to kind of pick her brain about what she was doing hanging out with Natalia recently.
Yeah, I saw that picture on social media.
Yeah, she had been sharing some stuff there. So not that I would be surprised, but for big things to happen for Camille. But that could be. I mean, rubbing elbows with anybody who's a bona fide legend in the sport is never a bad thing.
That's right.
Say what you will about Natalia, but another person who didn't have to talk very well in order to have a successful in-ring career.
That's right.
Helps when you're Jim Neidhart's daughter and Bret Hart's niece, but all the same.
But, I mean, she also backs it up in the ring. She's always been one of the better workers in the division.
Absolutely true.
And, that helped her and Beth Phoenix stand out when they were really the only workers in the division, and has continued to serve her well through the women's revolution and up to modern times.
Yeah. And I know Natalia got a little bit more of a benefit of it in terms of just her longevity in the ring, but it does. I always kind of just I feel so bad for Beth Phoenix in terms of when she came about. Very similar to China's situation, where if they had come about just a couple years later, there would have been ample opponents for them to have even a better run than they did. And both of them had incredible runs, and both of them are worthy of Hall of Fame, accolades and everything else. But either one of them, what could have been, right? Like if we had gotten Beth Phoenix in her prime up against the likes of AJ Lee or even Paige, or even just a little bit longer, if she held out for just a little bit, and then we got her against the 4 horsewomen, any one of them would have been
Beth Phoenix against Shayna Baszler.
Yeah, right.
Beth
like
Phoenix against Sasha,
and clearly she's coming back and she's making these small appearances, but obviously we're not anticipating the matches to be of the same caliber that they could have been.
Right.
So
if we could have had 2006 Beth Phoenix,
right
now,
against modern day Charlotte Flair or Becky Lynch, it would be incredible. But that's the other thing about wrestling, is that there's so many incredible talent that you can't have everything you want, and you never will. We'll never get to see the video footage of Jake the Snake versus Hulk Hogan in the classic 80s era, though it should have been. I'm sure that would have been an absolute barn burner of a match. But then the crowd would have turned on Hogan, and we didn't want that, did we?
That's right. That's why it wasn't taped.
But
you hear Jake tell the story, and they were definitely chanting DDT during that match.
Mm-hmm.
Just thinking of what could have been, just thinking of guys that were ahead of their time. Like, you imagine Brian Pillman in AEW, the promos he would be cutting on Moxley, the matches he would be having with those guys.
I mean, Pillman and Moxley, they're essentially two sides of the same coin anyway, which is a bit. So I'm so torn on those kinds of interactions, where if you have two guys that historically everyone's like, oh, these matches would be amazing. But I feel like when we do see a pairing of people who have similar styles, it rarely works out that well.
That's true.
The first thing that comes to mind for me is Kane and Undertaker. And those two have some of the best lore and story of between any characters in the history of pro wrestling. If you can have a character who is a side character for another character, and then that side character goes on to have a legendary career, that's a win in terms of your writing and your storytelling. But in terms of your in-ring action, the Kane and Undertaker never really clicked.
They never had a good match.
Yeah, not to the degree that it should have. It was all smoke and mirrors for the most part. And even in their, if you want to call it their prime, in '98 at WrestleMania 14, they had an all right match and they tried, but it wasn't what it could have been.
Well, and I would even argue, I don't think that was Undertaker's prime. I don't think he'd hit his prime yet.
That's fair.
I think he maybe hit his character's prime, but I don't think until he started making his very sporadic appearances did we get to see prime Undertaker.
That's a good point.
The series with Shawn Michaels, the series with Triple H.
When he introduced the Hell's Gate is kind of what I look at as when he introduced that into his arsenal. That's when he stepped up his in-ring game, and then we did see all of those incredible matches, or thereabout, right? It's in that ballpark, but
did not have great matches.
No.
The match with Brett at SummerSlam was good.
Mm-hmm. Mankind. He had several great matches with Mankind. I'd argue that
the Boiler Room Brawl.
Yeah, I'd say if Undertaker really did retire in 2000, like he said he was going to, then we would probably remember his feud with Mankind as the best feud he ever had.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. And another character that came in as a side, he was brought in to feud with Undertaker.
Yeah, and then stayed.
Yep. Yeah,
that
didn't happen to Nails.
No, that didn't happen to any monster that Hogan faced. That's the formula was broken by that point, but for the better, because then we were able to see what this character could turn into, and not just they have to ride out their contract, but actually no, we're building a story here. We're crafting a history in a way that is much better than what was presented before, because Earthquake broke Hogan's back and kept him out of action for months, and write your letters, kids. But also now Hogan kind of beat Earthquake pretty easily, and so Earthquake doesn't matter anymore. I mean, that's sad. Like, I know that he still did other things, and he face turned when he with Typhoon, and it was pointless, and tag title reign that didn't matter and all this, but there wasn't
squashed Adam Bomb at WrestleMania.
There was nothing to it,
No.
There was nothing to
After
any
the loss to Hogan, that was the end of it.
Yeah, and then you get these situations with Kane and Mankind specifically, but with plenty of other characters in that same idea that you keep it rolling, right? Especially if they're good characters. But anyway, onto the similar wrestlers though. I still feel like there's not enough there's not enough data, or there's not enough evidence in my mind of two wrestlers who are so similar that have incredible matches on a regular basis. Any two wrestlers can have a great match at any point, period. That's the end of it. Because the stars can align and everyone's in the pocket, and you can have a fantastic match with any two characters or any two talent. But I don't think that there's enough hard evidence in my mind that is a formula that always works.
Yeah, that's true. Because for every RVD and Jerry Lynn, there are a million, RVD and, however many solid but unremarkable mid-card feuds did he have in WWE that against guys that he should have been having burners with.
Yeah, even RVD and Jeff Hardy is like, I know that match happened. I know it did.
Yeah, well, the match at Invasion was excellent, and then they just never quite reached that again. They did it again at SummerSlam, I think, in a ladder match that was fine.
Right, it's fine. That's the thing. Those two are the two that it's that whole thing. It's like these are two guys that they're high flyers, they're innovators of their time. They should be able to put on a great match together. I mean, you're right. Like they have had good matches, but they didn't. That formula doesn't just work every single time. It wasn't
the all-timer that you would think it would be. I mean, I know you love the Iron Man match, but Brett and Shawn, for as iconic as those two are, and as much as their careers paralleled each other, other than the Iron Man match, which is debatable by a lot, they never even their Intercontinental title matches were fine.
I would argue they're not that similar of styles. I mean, Michaels is more of a high flying showman, and then Brett is a mat based technician. So yes, in terms of their skill levels, they're obviously right neck and neck, and that's why the feud works so well. But in terms of their actual these two are the same. They're definitely not the same. And I think anybody that wants to wade in on the Brett and Shawn debate, which will go on forever at this point,
of course,
is we'll say the same. That they are not the same.
They're not the same. That's fair.
I'm thinking of an Abyss versus a Mankind or a Kane. Those kinds of things would be it would be cool on paper, but in the reality, I don't want to see that. I don't think that anything would actually happen there. I guess you could argue a Malenko and Benoit are probably very similar. If Malenko and Brett ever matched up, I'm sure that was probably good. But I know
Benoit was great.
Brett and Benoit was great. I would put those two in a very similar camp. Yeah, of
Eddie and Ray.
Yeah,
Ray and Psychosis.
Ray and Psychosis is a great example of one that definitely works for sure. So they're out there, but I feel like they're fewer.
But it's not the rule that you would think it would be.
Yeah. You think that would be the rule of these two are the same, they're gonna have a great match, and it's not. It's. I mean, I think we all also understand these are human beings, and so you gotta have that kind of that chemistry with each other to be able to make something magical happen. And just because you have the same style doesn't mean you guys have the same idea of what a good match looks like.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of times, and we can talk through the intros for our next match, as we could talk all afternoon about this.
Absolutely could.
But sometimes you just don't know what's going to click. WWE, the WWF was trying so hard to make Triple H a thing in '98, so hard. But it wasn't until, for whatever reason, he and Rock captured magic in a bottle in that ladder match. It was like, oh, okay, this is what we should be doing with this guy. and then Mankind, over the course of the next like 18 months, helped push him the rest of the way over the line to become, the iconic character he is now.
Yeah, they were. I mean, well, this is a problem that Vince McMahon himself has a huge issue with. Just broadly speaking, is trying to recreate the same character with someone else.
Yes.
I mean, we saw it with Lex Luger. We saw it with several people with trying to replace Hulk Hogan, which is impossible, right? Even the Ultimate Warrior, for all of his marketability, is not Hulk Hogan, and so you don't need to treat him like Hulk Hogan. Same thing with Lex Luger. Same thing with, but then, okay, so Bret Hart is different. Great, we know that. Well, Shawn Michaels is also different. Great, we know that. Well, Triple H is not Shawn Michaels and never will be, and that's kind of his whole thing, is that he's not Shawn Michaels. But yeah, knowing when to, or knowing how to effectively use a character that is completely different is, I'm sure, a daunting task, really.
Yeah.
Like, no wonder you want to try and just recreate what you already had, because you know how to work with that.
Yep.
But if you don't know how to work with it, I mean, ugh.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of times, they don't know why it worked in the first place. Like, I don't think, until the Bret feud happened, I don't think the plan was for Austin to be the guy.
Yeah, but that's definitely true. Like, they knew that he would be a good hand, but yeah, they definitely probably didn't think that he was going to be the one.
They didn't sign him like they did with Luger, with the intent of him being the guy. Okay, so here comes, we already saw Serena Deeb, the professor, the anti-diva, the woman of 1,000 holds.
This world, the Pro Wrestling Champion, Billy Starks.
So Serena Deeb already in the ring, and here comes Billy Starks, Space Jesus, the Blue Gremlin, Billiam, making her way to the ring from New Albany, Indiana, just down the road from where my folks live in Charlestown. She's an all-arounder trained by Raul Lamada and Rudy Switchblade. She is the current Girl Fight Wrestling Champion, the second, or I guess it's second, but with a 2 instead of an S, Wrestling Champion, and the Black Label Pro Heavyweight Champion, which is one of the top titles on the Indies. And Billy Starks, all 18 years old of Billy Starks. She is a year older than Serena Deeb's wrestling career. Space Jesus is on the rise. And she's recently been making some dark appearances for AEW and winning over those crowds. Very similar to how Sky Blue did 2 years ago, which got her signed. It's only a matter of time before Billy Starks is a big star on TV.
Very true. Very true. At being 18 years of age as well, like, there's still a lot of growth there for her, but that also means there's a lot of potential for a very lengthy career that's full of victories, accolades, achievements. That the sky is the limit for Space Jesus, which is good, because Space Jesus needs that sky to get to space.
That's right. It'd be weird if she couldn't get up there.
Yeah.
Billy also, in addition to having appeared on the 2021 and 22 PWI Top Females list, has also been in the PWI 500 twice. She was number 441 in 2021 and number 263 last year. Going for the pin after that stomp. Serena kicks out. Too early to pin the professor with that.
Definitely true.
But because she was on the 2021 PWI 500, that meant that she appeared in the 500, the season 1 tournament here on Pro Wrestling Simulated. She beat Rohit Raju in round 1 before losing to Chris Ridgway in the second round. So not her first rodeo here with a Pro Wrestling Simulated tournament.
For sure.
And Serena Deeb goes tumbling to the floor. Space Jesus following her out there. And just stopping. It's just, okay, there we go.
Sometimes you got to just take in
the
the
lost her
atmosphere.
spot there for a second. Yeah. This is the biggest stage of Billy Stark's career here on the, the grand simulated stage.
And I appreciate Deeb there. Appreciate Deeb there setting her up for something and then just deciding, nope, I'm just going to get away. Let's take a breather.
Yeah, this has not been a technical masterpiece thus far. Oh God, suplex into the corner by Billy. Billy also looks massive here. I don't think whoever edited her got the proportions quite right.
Does seem
looking.
a bit large, but also, I mean, looks can be deceiving. Billy Starks was definitely towering over the her opponent Kinsey that we happen to see her
That is
live.
true.
So,
And Serena Deeb is only 5'4". But I am looking at the photo that the three of us took at that GCW show, and
she's pretty short.
She's quite a bit shorter than both of us.
Yeah.
So, also I forgot that Jordan Oliver is just hanging around in the background of that picture, which makes me laugh.
Yeah, that gives us a little more cred when we can say we saw him win.
Yeah.
One thing about Billy Starks that I admire very much is that she has the got a cover here. Kick out at 2. She has the support of her wrestling peers more than most, I would argue.
Yes.
I've seen so many people on Twitter, especially, celebrating her wins and her achievements more than others, and tons of other professional wrestlers especially in the indie scene will say things like Billy Starks deserves it. Billy Starks is a great person and works hard and knows how to take care of people and work well with them.
Ooh, big spear from the professor. That's one of her finishes. Let's see if that's enough. 1, 2, 3. It is.
Good on Serena Deeb to move on here. At least we got a chance to talk about Billy Starks before she was eliminated from the tournament.
Yes. Serena Deeb, that sets up a second round match later on between her and Taryn from accounting. So that will be a couple of upsets facing each other.
That's another time in which I do not envy Taryn from accounting here stepping in with certainly an upset going into the match against Serena, but you're going to step in there against the professor. I don't like your chances.
No.
That strikes me like it's going to be a match similar to Serena Deeb's build up to her feud with Thunder Rosa, where Serena was just rolling through
5-minute challenges.
Just absolutely destroying everyone in her path. The future does not look too bright for Taryn from accounting in this one match. The future does look bright for her overall.
Yes,
but
absolutely, she's definitely one of the up and coming stars on the independent scene. But she has a stiff challenge ahead of her, and we have one more match to go before we take a little intermission. We have one more spot to fill in the second round. We do already know that when we come back from intermission, we will have Serena Deeb against Taryn from accounting, Shoko Nakajima against Mei Saruga, Utami Hayashishida against Jeddah, and the winner of this match will be facing Becky Lynch. It will be either Jessica Troy, one of the top stars of the Australian independent circuit, and the Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka. So Jessica Troy with a steep hill to climb here against one of the best, not just one of the best female wrestlers, but one of the best wrestlers in the world, in Asuka. Just the first time I ever saw her wrestle was a hardcore match against Charlie Morgan on, I think it was a Melbourne City wrestling show. I might be wrong on what specifically it was, but it was some Aussie indie show. And that was the first time I ever saw the skewers spot that we saw at that GCW show when Sawyer Rex did it to Donnie Primetime.
Donnie did it to Sawyer, in fact.
And that's right. And then she took him out and stabbed him with him. That's right.
Yeah.
Sawyer took him first. But I believe Charlie did it to Jessica to the point where Jessica stood up and she looked like Bull Nakano. Like there was just like this tower of skewers sticking out of the top of her head. It was incredibly gross. But that was the moment I realized Jessica Troy is for real.
Yeah, for sure.
The native of Newcastle, New South Wales, Australia, was on the 2020 list at number 91. She's up to 68 this year. Was not on the 2021 list, but she was on the 2021 PWI 500, which got her a spot in the 500, where she lost in the first round to El Desperado. So Jessica Troy probably looking for the biggest win of her career here, as she goes one-on-one against the last remaining representative of WWE tonight, well, not true because Becky is still to come in her second match. But after Nikki Cross and Roxanne Perez lost, WWE, which had been doing quite well, is down to 17 wrestlers compared to the 25 or the 19 that they came in with.
Just want to say real quick
still
on
at 15 and 8.
Yeah. Well, yeah, WWE, I'm not necessarily too worried about in the tournament overall. I mean, definitely a lot of incredible talent they have here. Jessica Troy did happen to share sometime last year on her Twitter page that Charlie Evans still had some of the skewers that Jessica had put into Charlie's head in a match they had together. And the amount of blood that is on the end of those skewers is remarkable to consider just how deep those things had to go. So Jessica Troy is not anyone to be taken lightly, and the Empress of Tomorrow will not take her lightly for sure, because the Empress of Tomorrow understands that as ready as anyone will be for another opponent, no one is ready for Asuka.
That's right. And this is even the Asuka's recent return with the new face paint, more in line with her old Kana persona from her days in Japan. There may have never been a more dangerous woman in wrestling than Asuka. I mean, she's definitely on the short list of, with your Aja Kongs and your Bull Nakanos and as horribly butchered as WWE did her, Bertha Faye, when she was in Japan as the Monster Ripper, was one of the most brutal wrestlers you'll ever see. Of course, that's also, including the likes of, Jessica Troy and Charlie Evans. Some of the Impact knockouts and some of the brutal wars they've had.
Yeah, one of the fun things about history, as we've said before, history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. And I think right now what we're seeing with the women's evolution and revolution becoming what it is that we're seeing the full realization of hardcore women's wrestling as it stands. And so there are, like you mentioned a couple of greats, from Aja Kong to Bull Nakano to even Bertha Faye and even China. But there are there are women coming up now who are doing things that none of them ever did. No. And there are women now who would look at those competitors and say, no, I know I'm tougher and I know I'm stronger, and just look at how I'm going to prove it. And Jessica Troy is part of that crop for sure, who is not going to let anyone stand in her way and is going to put on the best match that she can. And it'll be brutal, and it'll be hard to watch sometimes, but boy, will you not forget it.
Yeah. I mean, and we saw, imagine any of the mid-2000s WWE divas having a match like that Sawyer Wreck Donnie Janela match that we saw. Like that just that was not a thing 10 years ago.
It certainly was not. And now skewers are a way of life for many of the women on the independent scene, in the best possible way. And once again, this is their choice, their decision to do these things, and they're making the most of it. Just like Asuka made the
splash by Asuka, but Jessica's got a foot under the ropes apparently.
Yeah, but she made the most of that splash for sure.
She's gonna do a little dance there.
Well, Asuka right now playing with her food at this point.
Yes. Jessica blocked that spin kick to the midsection. Not sure what she's going for here. Big right hand. I'm just going to take her down into an arm bar. Cranking back. Asuka, feels like Asuka could reach the ropes pretty easily. But she's kind of, like you said, playing with her food, letting Jessica have her moment before just rolling out of it into a head scissor.
That's the other amazing thing about Asuka. She can catch you with just about anything in the ring. I mean, she's technically sound. She's a striker. She can, knock you out with a kick, or knock you out by just taking the air out of your lungs.
Yep. Or rip your arm out of the socket with her Asuka lock.
Yeah. Either way, I mean, there's just so many ways that she can defeat you, and it ain't pretty. None of them are pretty. That's not even to mention her mist, which has now become one of her primary modes of victory lately.
Yep. Shades of the legendary Great Muta. those face wash kicks in the corner for Troy, 2 are enough. Whoa.
This is one of the biggest upsets that I've seen in this tournament.
Yeah, maybe statistically not the 68 seed beating number 61, but I did not expect Asuka to go down that early and to that. But just kicks in the corner.
Yeah, to end it on kicks in the corner.
Yeah, Asuka's hurt, and they had to go home early. Maybe we wound up with a bunny situation from Rampage this week, or was that Dynamite? Whatever night it was this week when Toni Storm landed on her face, and they had to go home early with the finish.
Oh yeah, that's right. I can't quite remember which one.
Okay, but now we know it will be Jessica Troy against Becky Lynch in post intermission here. So just to recap what we've seen so far, Becky Lynch over Chris Statlander, Taryn from Accounting upsetting Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, Utami Hayashishida over Nikki Cross, Shoko Nakajima beating Kiera Hogan, Mei Saruga upsetting Roxanne Perez, Jetta beating Asuka, not that Asuka, Serena Deeb beating Billy Starks, and then we just saw Jessica Troy beat Asuka. Yes, that Asuka. So,
man, I shouldn't have said anything. I put it into the universe. I wanted Asuka to lose, and sure enough, I got it.
You got both of them. So once we come back, we're going to take a little 5-minute intermission. And when we come back, Serena Deeb against Taryn from Accounting, Shoko Nakajima against Mei Saruga, Becky Lynch against the woman to my left, your right, Jessica Troy. And our main event this afternoon will be Utami Hayashishida against Jetta. So don't go anywhere. We will be back in 5. right, welcome back, folks. We have got 4 more matches to go here on this episode. We're going to really try to get you out of here in time for kickoff. Rory, unfortunately, did have to slip away. He's got, parental duties today, so totally understandable why he needed to step out for these last 4 matches. So we're going to try and not necessarily speed through them because they're going to take however long they're going to take, but maybe with just me, I will be less prompted to ramble like I had been when I was catching up with my friend who I haven't seen in a few days. So our first match back from intermission here is a second round match pitting Taryn from Accounting, who we saw earlier on upset Dr. Britt Baker DMD with that small package driver. She will be taking on, of course, the number 77 seed, Professor Serena Deeb, who we saw spear Billy Starks to win their match. One fall.
Making her way to the ring from New York.
Nope.
Taryn.
Yeah. So Taryn from Accounting making her way to the ring. As we mentioned, 37 years old, a 4-year pro, got started a little late compared to a lot of the competitors in this tournament. But she's already got wins over 2 pretty big stars in La Hiedra and now Dr. Britt Baker, hoping to add one of the legends in women's wrestling, Serena Deeb, to her list of vanquished opponents coming up here once the bell rings in this second round match. Of course, the 4 winners of our next 4 matches will be moving on to the round of 32, where they will join Charlotte Flair, JC Jane, Savannah Evans, Jamie Hayter, Natalia, Dana Brooke, Miranda Alizé, and Layla Gray, who have all advanced to that round of 32. Now, if Taryn from Accounting wins this match, I believe she is the only one. Yes, if Taryn wins, she will be the first to make it to the 3rd round after having won a qualifying match. Up to this point, all women who have won qualifying matches have been eliminated in either the 1st or 2nd round. Serena Deeb, of course, we saw earlier on beat Billy Starks. She'll hopefully, for her, continue her run through the stars of the independent circuit. Taryn, one of only 2 independent wrestlers remaining. Remaining in this episode, of course. The other being Jessica Troy, who we just saw before the intermission, beat Asuka. Nobody's ready for Asuka, but Jessica Troy beat her. So we will see what happens here. Serena Deeb and Taryn from Accounting, the number 77 and number 116 seeds. The winner will move on to face the winner of our main event tonight between Utami Hayashishida and Jeddah. That match will happen on episode 11 of this show coming up in a few weeks. We'll do a quick rundown of upcoming shows at the end if we've got time. Again, I'd like to get you all out of here before kickoff because I know I'm not the only one who who's interested in the Super Bowl. I'm not a massive fan of either of the teams involved, but I do like Pat Mahomes a lot. My namesake. Also, nice move there by Deeb. Oh, with a running knee lift into the midsection. Pat Mahomes, also a Pat, but also drafted by the Detroit Tigers, which, my favorite team since childhood. Knee drop there by Serena, 2. Ooh, almost a very quick victory over Taryn. Taryn from the Oaks. Now she's stomping away on that arm. As we know, Serena Deeb, one of the most prolific submission wrestlers in the world, but also can put you away with moves like the spear that she did to Billy Starks earlier. Now stomping away on the hand of Taryn from Accounting. Now an injured hand takes away a ton of offense. Oh, now she's going for a power bomb here. Oh yeah, just stacks her up with a power bomb. 1, 2 count only. That was almost the fastest match of the tournament thus far. Oh, and then a stomp to the midsection, and as Taryn sits up, kicks her in the chest. Beautiful combination of strikes there by Serena Deeb. And then a backbreaker. And like I mentioned, one of the best technicians in the world. Also not above just standing on her opponent's midsection. Kick to the face from Taryn, though, to get a little bit of momentum back. Serena's got her hooked. One for a suplex here. Oh, she's going to roll him. Looking for the Three Amigos. No, she rolls it into a side suplex. Nice unorthodox combination there by Serena Deeb. First hitting the vertical suplex, then rolling the hips and turning it into a side suplex. 2. Not enough, though, as Taryn from accounting able to kick out. Serena getting in the referee's face. Either that or doing the Bret Hart pose. Hard to tell. They're very similar. Dragon screw leg whip takes Taryn down. And then just wrenches back on that knee. Kick to the midsection. Serena. Every time Taryn starts to get a little momentum, Serena just shuts her down. Oh, head and arm suplex by Taryn. TFA, Taryn from accounting, now pulling Serena Deeb away from the corner. Not sure what she's going for here. Oh, sort of a variation on the figure 4. Sorry, sort of a sideways figure 4 there. Nice move there from Taryn. Hooks the leg. 1, 2. 2 count only. Serena Deeb able to get a shoulder up. Now she's waiting. She's going to let her get to her feet, which might be a mistake here. Into a Fujiwara arm. She's going for the disarm her. She's pulling back. That's Becky Lynch's finish. Looks like she's trying to maybe send a message to the number 4 overall seed. If both Taryn and Becky win, they could conceivably meet up in the 4th round of the tournament. But Taryn now going to the top rope. What's she going for here? Huge elbow drop. Now it's Taryn doing the Bret Hart pose, or maybe she was just mocking Serena for when she was arguing with the referee earlier, and the professor not taking kindly to that. And there's the spear. I think that might be enough. She hooks the leg. 1. Oh, referee saw Taryn grabs the bottom rope. Serena, I mean, the professor's gotta have better ring awareness than that. Oh, but now rolling her through. She's got her hammer locked and a half crab. Brutal combination submission there by Serena Deeb. Taryn is just, Taryn has no choice but to tap. Hammer lock, half crab combination. Serena Deeb, we mentioned she's one of the most dangerous women in this tournament. Proving it further here. A great run from Taryn from accounting. But unfortunately, Serena Deeb not to be outdone. Moving on to the 3rd round, the round of 32. 2.5 stars here for that hammerlock crab combo. Now we know Serena Deeb will face the winner between Utami Hayashishida and Jeddah. That match will happen. As I mentioned, that'll happen on episode 11. We still have a few more episodes of these 1st and 2nd round matches, like what we've been doing for the last couple weeks. But Serena Deeb, the number 77 seed, moving on. We're going to find out another. So that makes, I believe that's the 9th woman we've had qualify so far. Yes, she's the 9th participant to qualify for the round of 32. That is coming together here. We have a few weeks left before we have the full field of 32. But considering we started with 150 and we're chipping away at it week after week, I would say we're making pretty good time here. Our next match is going to feature 2 of the top stars of Japan battling it out for a spot in the round of 32. We've already seen both Mei Suruga and Shoko Nakajima in action tonight. Suruga upsetting Roxanne Perez with that brutal variation on cattle mutilation with the full Nelson, and Shoko Nakajima beating Kiera Hogan with that top rope senton. Nakajima the 29 seed, Suruga the 93 seed. So obviously Shoko the favorite here. But as we have seen throughout this tournament and this afternoon, just because you're the higher seed does not guarantee you anything. We did see number 13, number 36, number 52, number 61 all eliminated tonight. And in our last match, we saw number 77 clinch her spot in the third round. So Mei Suruga going to be the first one out here for this match. Again, one half of the Best Bros tag team.
Contest is scheduled for one fall.
One fall.
Making her way to the ring from Kyoto, Japan. ASUKA.
Yeah, Mei Suruga, 4 feet 10 inches tall. A disciple of the legendary Emi Sakura, one of the top stars, one of the top stars of Sakura's promotion, Gato Move Pro Wrestling. You did see in her Twitter handle the GTMV, that does stand for Gato Move. She is the only representative of Gato Move in this tournament. So up until this point, Gato Move undefeated because she won her first round match against Roxanne Perez.
Tokyo, Japan. Shogo Nikita.
Here comes Shoko Nakajima, again, one of the 7 Tokyo Joshi Pro representatives in this tournament. It started with 8, down to 7 now. The big kaiju, 4 feet 10 inches tall, 9-year pro from Niigata, Japan. She's going to be looking for her trademark. I love this name, the unmanned local train hold. We will see if she can apply that to Mei Suruga and get the victory here to move on to round 3. Of course, the winner of this match will be facing the winner between Becky Lynch and Jessica Troy in round number 3. Shoko with a big springboard crossbody and then a double stomp and a kick. Shoko just taking it to Mei Suruga here in the early going. Working over the arm. Suruga manages to land a kick. Get some momentum back, but Shoko goes right back on the offensive with strikes. Tilt-to-whirl DDT. Beautiful move by Shoko. And a standing moonsault. Shoko Nakajima in full control. A springboard moonsault off the top rope. Nakajima flying all over the place here. Rolls up into a Frankensteiner, sending her into the middle rope. Tiger feint kick coming. Nails it. Nicely done by Shoko. Hooks the leg. 1, 2, 3. Dominant victory for Shoko Nakajima here in our second round match of the evening. Nakajima moves on. She will face either Becky Lynch or Jessica Troy in round number 3. Just absolutely dominant here. The number 29 seed, Shoko Nakajima, over number 93, Mei Suruga. Another 1.5-star match. Looks we have not had a match get higher than 2.5 stars on this show yet, which is, a little disappointing. But Shoko winning it with, why am I blanking on what she won it with? I just watched the match. Shoko, what did you use to finish her off? It was the Tiger feint kick. Thank you. Yes, sometimes, video game characters speak to me. It's one of my gifts. Those of you that have been watching since the beginning of these tournaments, the 150 and the 100, know that I had been struggling with custom matches. Finally got that sorted out. So I'm very excited that I now have so many fewer clicks to get into the matches, which is also part of why I don't mind leaving this all up on the big screen here. Here we go. Second round action. Becky Lynch and Jessica Troy. We saw Becky in our opening match get Chris Statlander to tap out to disarm her. She will be facing here Jessica Troy, who pulled off a pretty big upset over Asuka with those face wash kicks in the corner. I'm still surprised that was enough to put the Empress of Tomorrow down. But, anything can happen in pro wrestling. And the winner of this will face Shoko Nakajima on our 11th episode. We are in Cincinnati, the hometown of both Brian Pillman and Jon Moxley. And here comes Jessica Troy, the number 68 seed from Newcastle, New South Wales, Australia.
scheduled for one fall.
One fall.
Making her way to the ring from Sydney, Australia, Jessica Troy.
She's 5 feet 7 inches tall, 9-year pro. The crowd seeming to like her. It's a little creepy. I don't really like like those calls. A veteran, but not on the level of big time Bex, the Irish last kicker, the man, her opponent here in our semi-main tonight on the big game Sunday as we await kickoff here in a little less than a half hour. Thanks for joining us. I assume that you, like me, also got a little bored of the pregame show and wanted to watch a little wrestling. So I appreciate y'all coming over and joining me. And earlier on, I had my broadcast colleague Rory T. Miller here with me for the first 8 matches of the show, flying solo for the last 4 here. We've got this match, and then we've got our main event still to come, pitting Utami Hayashishida against Jeddah. But now we've got Jessica Troy in the ring, and 2K just crashed. Shocking turn of events. That is the second time in the last 2 hours that 2K has crashed. This never happened when I played Fire Pro. Just putting that out there. But, you know, the superior graphics and, I mean, that's not even really an excuse anymore. I played so many great games that are just so much more technologically impressive. But for whatever reason, 2K is the only one that crashes like this. Ah, well. Is what it is. It's only 2 more matches. I don't mind going back. It's just annoying. So I'm starting to get a little bit of a headache, which does not bode well for however many hours of football I still have ahead of me today. But here we go. We're going to try this again. Jessica Troy and Becky Lynch. I'm going to skip through Jessica's entrance when the time comes because we've already watched it once. Shin itches. There we go. All right. Sorry, I'm also still a little congested from when I was sick last week. It just is not going away, which is, not fun. We're going to skip over Jessica Troy. Yes. But we're not going to skip Becky. Oh. The man. Big time backs. Becky Lynch. 20-year pro. Trained by Finn Balor, Paul Tracy, and Sarah Amato. One of the best all-around technical wrestlers in maybe women's wrestling history. Certainly of this era.
From Dublin, Ireland, Becky Lynch.
She's been listed on the PWI list every year since 2014. Last year, she fell all the way to 34 after having a pretty injury-plagued 2021, but jumping back up into the top 5 in 2022. Her 4th appearance in the top 5. She was number 4 also in 2016. She was number 2 in 2020. And, of course, in 2019, the year of the man, she was number 1. But here we go. It's our number 4 seed against number 68. Becky Lynch and Jessica Troy. There's the bell. And our semi-main event is underway. Becky trying strikes, Jessica blocking them. But she doesn't block the Bexploder. Becky again. Another. I think that one was the Bexplex. And it drops an elbow across the chest. Jessica Troy with the arm wringer, nicely done, taking Becky down. Working over the arm. A lot of Becky's moves require her arms. It's going to be very difficult for her to perform them when one's injured. Nice running kick to the face by Jessica Troy. And now Jessica drops a knee across the elbow. A series of stomps and kicks. And again, working the arm. And then a kick to the shoulder. But then a Bexploder. Becky's arm's still in good enough shape to fire off a big forearm to the jaw there. One. Only a 1 count as Jessica Troy able to kick out. We're still early on here. Big side suplex by Becky Lynch. And drops a leg across the elbow. Wearing down the upper body of Jessica Troy, probably setting her up for the disarm her. Of course, she's got all those suplexes at her disposal. Now she's going for that. She's going for that sideways figure 4. That is a move that we saw Jessica Troy use against Asuka earlier. Now Becky using it against Becky going for. Oh, I thought Becky was going all the way up for that top rope leg drop she uses sometimes, but instead she was just showing off. And now again, leg drops the arm. Again, probably trying to soften her up for the disarm her. She does it again. Hooks the leg. 1, 2. Jessica Troy able to kick out. And she blocks the kick. Dragon screw. Nicely done by Jessica Troy. Stomp and a kick. Big overhand right from Troy. Now belly to back suplex. Little amateur spin there across, and then a slap to the back of the head. Jessica Troy just trying to get under the skin of Becky Lynch. Troy to the apron. Oh, no, I thought she might have been going for a springboard, but she saw Becky recover too fast. Becky fires off a snap suplex. Now Becky playing to the crowd. I'm going to say possibly a mistake, but doesn't look like it. Double underhook. Huge suplex by Becky Lynch. Working over Jessica Troy here now. Bexplex. 1, 2. Oh, Jessica Troy kicks out of the Bexplex. I thought that was going to be enough. Becky now. Arm wringer up. No, into a key lock. Nice bit of submission wrestling here. Wearing down the arm. Probably setting up for the disarm her. Jessica fights out of it. Snapmare. Off the rope. She's looking for that kick again. Becky saw it coming this time and moves. Doesn't miss with the clothesline. Beautifully done. Oh, and a pump kick from Jessica Troy catches Becky right on the jaw. It's our best match of the night so far. I thought she was going for a crucifix. Instead turns it into a tilt-a-whirl arm bar. Becky's in some trouble here. She's right in the middle of the ring, nowhere near the ropes, unable to get the hold broken. She's going to have to escape it or tap. Jessica lets her up, but then rolls her over into a pin. 1, 2, 3. Jessica Troy with her second massive upset of the night eliminates Becky Lynch from the tournament. The number 4 seed is out, and the curse of the high seeds continues.
Jessica Troy.
Pinfall after that tilt-a-whirl armbar. Did not see that coming as the finish, but Jessica Troy, the number 68 seed, moves on. 3 stars. That was our best match of the day so far. Folks, Becky Lynch at number 4 joins number 16, AZM, number 32, Princesa Sushi, number 33, High-End, number 1, Syuri, number 17, Liv Morgan, number 25, Tony Storm, number 9, Starlight Kid, number 16, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. So many top seeds have fallen here in the first or second round. And Becky Lynch can be added to that list as number 68. Jessica Troy moves on to the third round. We now know she will face Shoko Nakajima in the third round. And now it's time for our main event, where we will find out who will face Serena Deeb in the third round. This is the only match of the afternoon where both of the odds-on favorites won their matches earlier. So we were going to see the number 45 seed Jetta as she takes on number 20 Utami Hayashishita. So let's head on down to the ring for this. Again, Jetta, number 45, one of 3 wrestlers from Pro Wrestling Eve, the only Eve wrestler to have won a match in this tournament. Eve had gone 0-2 coming into this afternoon. But the Princess Diana of British wrestling, the British legend, Coventry's loudest, the 20-year pro Jetta, hoping to move on here against number 20, the ace of Stardom, Utami Hayashishita. We did see earlier on Jetta beat Asuka, not that Asuka, with a fisherman suplex. And Winter Park, Florida. I know that area well. And Utami Hayashishita beat Nikki Cross, the Twisted Sister, with a superplex.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall.
One fall.
Making her way to the ring from Birmingham, England, the Princess Diana. Oh, wild thing.
It's pronounced Birmingham, but it's all right. Sorry, don't mind me as I chug water. But it is time for our main event here. Jetta and Utami Hayashishita. Utami trying to make up for Stardom's woes throughout this tournament. I mentioned when we started, there were 18 wrestlers from World Wonder Ring Stardom when this tournament started. Only 5 episodes in, we're down to 10. Stardom has gone 4-8 since this tournament started. Hayashishita, of course, being one of those, but hoping to make it 5-8 with her second victory of the day. Here she comes. Big Daddy's third daughter, the ace of Stardom.
And from Kyoto, Japan, Utami.
She's the 2021 Tokyo Sports Women's Wrestler of the Year. She is the leader of the Queen's Quest faction in Stardom, having taken over from Momo Watanabe when the latter jumped to Oedo Tai. Hayashishita, definitely one of the top stars in Joshi wrestling in Japan, making a name for herself here in the States as part of the 150. Again, she was number 2 on the 2021 PWI 500 list. Fell to 20th after dropping her title to Syuri in 2022. But you can bet she's angling for another top 10 finish when the next list comes around. Again, she's only a 4-year pro, but she's been a top-ranked star her whole career. The top 20 every year. So we will see if Jetta, the veteran with 20 years as a pro, can withstand the buzzsaw that is Utami Hayashishita. So Hayashishita beat Nikki Cross earlier with that superplex. You know, she's going to want to hit that again here against Jetta. There's Hayashishita. There's Jetta. And there's the bell. Oh, Jetta goes right for the throat. Now, a series of strikes takes Hayashishita down. Jetta with the Imperium pose there. She really ought to be capitalizing on having Hayashishita down, because that's not an opportunity she's going to have much in this match. A nice neck breaker there from Jetta. Stomps on the knee. And goes back to the arm. Pull it out of joint there. And a big clothesline from Utami. Clubbing forearm to the back. And a big hip toss takeover. Another series of strikes. Go behind. Big release German suplex. Working over the knee. Drops back. Brutal. Pulling across on the arm. Again, trying to dislocate it there. And now catching a breather in the corner. I guess that's wise. But it feels like you should be staying on top of your opponent, especially here in the main event. A spot in the third round on the line. Went for a knee drop. Missed it. Jetta threw a forearm and just missed. But she doesn't miss with the snake eyes across the top rope. Now Jetta going to the middle turnbuckle. Big splash across the back of Utami. Hooks the leg. 1, 2. Utami's able to kick out. Signaling this might be over. Now doing the sort of a variation on the Shane McMahon / Enzo dance there. And then he's pulling Utami down by her hair. Hooks her in for that fisherman suplex. That's the move she used to beat Asuka earlier. Signaling that it's over, but doesn't go for the pin. Instead, going for a sort of variation on the bulldog choke. Oh, man. Brutal hold there. But she left too much of an opening, took too much time, and Utami kicks her in the face. Gets her up in a firewoman's carry. Air raid crash. Brutal move from Utami. 1, 2. 2 count only. Jetta able to kick out. Utami signaling for Jetta to get to her feet. Behind, got her up in that Argentine backbreaker. Torture rack bomb. That is one of her trademarks. 1, 2, 3. And Utami Hayashishita moves on. Utami Hayashishita over Jetta.
Here is your winner, Utami.
Torture rack bomb is one of her finishers. And Jetta just felt the full force of it, being driven down into the mat. And Utami is moving on. So far, only the third odds-on favorite to make it to the round of 32, alongside Charlotte Flair and Shoko Nakajima. Big win for Utami. And folks, we now know 12 of the final 32 women in the 150. Layla Gray, JC Jane, Natalia, Jamie Hayter, Dana Brooke, Miranda Alizé, Charlotte Flair, Savannah Evans, Serena Deeb, Shoko Nakajima, Jessica Troy, and that woman right there, Utami Hayashishita. Folks, thank you so much for joining me. And Rory, when he was with me earlier today. We've got about 10 minutes left till kickoff of the big game. I'll let you all grab your snacks and your beverages. I will be watching. I won't be doing it on stream. I will probably be doing it in bed because I'm a little congested still. And, the big TV's in the bedroom. So I'll be doing that. Hope you guys have a great rest of your afternoon. The hope is we will be back with more of the tag team tournament, the 100, on Tuesday. Coming up on that show, we will see the Calamari Drunken Kings, Chris Brooks and Masahiro Takanashi, take on Money, Power, Respect, the team of Fabuloso Fabricio and Marco Mayur. Los Infernales, Euphoria and Mephisto, with Hechicero in their corner, will be taking on the Bollywood Boys, Gerv and Harv Sira. Perros del Mal de Japón, Eita and Nosawa Rongai, with Kotaro Suzuki in their corner, will take on State of Emergency, Miles DeVille and Sebastian Wolf. The Brawling Brutes, Butch and Ridge Holland, with Sheamus in their corner, will take on Private Party, Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn. 5150, that's Danny Limelight and Slice Boogie, will take on the Commonwealth Connection of Doug Williams and Davey Boy Smith Jr. The Kings of the North, Bonesaw and Damian Corvin, will face Fly Death, Warren Johnson and Zach Mason. Nueva Generacion Dinamita, El Cuatrero, and Sansón with Forastero in their corner will take on the Philly Marino Experience, Philly Collins and Marino Tenalia. The Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, will take on the Best Friends, Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta, who will have Orange Cassidy in their corner. The Twin Towers, Kohei Sato and Shuji Ishikawa, will take on Disaster Box members Hiroshima and Naomi Yoshimura. Los Malditos, Gemelo Diablo 1 and 2, alongside their cornerman El Sagrado, will take on Milk Chocolate, Brandon Watts and Randy Summers. Los Macizos, Ciclope and Miedo Extremo will take on the Frenchadors, Igel Blanc and Senza Volto. And Pretty Deadly, Elton Prince and Kit Wilson will take on the Fixers, Jay Bradley and Wrecking Ball Legursky. That should be happening this Tuesday. Tuesday is Valentine's Day, so card subject to change. That might not happen, but that's the goal currently. And then we will be back Sunday with more of the 150, when we will see Jade Cargill against Becca, Miyu Yamashita against Alexa Bliss, Mandy Rose against Mizuki, Mercedes Martinez against Hazuki, Maki Ito, one of my favorite wrestlers in the world, as she takes on Nicole Matthews, Tsukasa Fujimoto against Raquel Rodriguez, Trish Adora versus Athena, and Ruby Soho against Thekla. And then the winners of those 8 matches will face off against each other in 4 second-round matches, the way that we saw on this episode. So we are still aiming for WrestleMania weekend being the finale. So you're going to be seeing 2 or 3 of these streams a week for the next month and a half or so. Stay tuned to our social media for updates on when those shows will be happening. Until then, thanks so much for watching. I am yours truly, Pat.